Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, and this is Up From the Underground Presents Football Week 3. With me, of course, is my panelist as always, the one right across from me. His Achilles is always a heel, the notorious Mr. Beagle.
That's low.
And, of course, the man who never knows when a phone conversation is over, Captain Shenanigans.
Wait, what just happened?
There you go, exactly. The way to describe Week 2. Inconsistency. As Captain Shenanigans would say, flippy-floppy, more than the shoe of the same name. I like to take Captain Shenanigans' way of thinking, saying, you can expect everything and anything that you want in a week of football, and then you're going to be proven and realize you're all wrong. From the Jets game, to the Patriots Arizona Cardinals game,
oh my goodness,
to the San Francisco Detroit game, even though we all picked San Francisco, it ended up being relatively close.
I knew it was going to be a shootout, but good lord, that was close.
I have no idea where Week 3 is going to go, because we practically went into Bizarro World.
It really was. Okay, fun fact. There are 20 teams with a 1-1 record right now, the most through the first 2 weeks of a season in NFL history.
Really?
Yes, it's an absolute fact. 20 teams out of 32 are 1-1 right now.
Don't get me wrong, it was fantastic. And as you can tell, we really are at a loss for words here, just because I just didn't expect any of this to happen.
You know, any given Sunday, it just...
Yeah. That was one heck of an any given Sunday.
We saw teams do a complete 180 both ways. We saw
a
the Jets absolutely collapse and do absolutely nothing in the second half after having an actually decent first half.
Very much so.
Then we saw Buffalo, how many points? 35 points?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And to be quite honest, it looks like Kansas City is going to be the crap team of the NFL this year.
As I predicted.
You know what? Their problems are fixable. They have problems, but they're fixable.
They shouldn't worry yet. They're only 0-2, and it's not the worst start ever. You know? I mean, yeah, we all jumped on the bandwagon, or at least most of us did, when they had the off-season trades, and they acquired new people, and they ship-shaped up their defense. I said, you know, hey, even their defense can possibly win them some games this season, but right now, so far, I'm being proven wrong. So if they lose this week, then they've got problems.
How about this one? Who would ever have thought that New Orleans was going to be 0-2 at the beginning of this season?
That was always a possibility because of the missing players and the lack of Sean Payton.
Well,
yes.
I still am probably one of the few people that just never really knew what an impact that Sean Payton would make on this team just because of the quarterback that they have and the offense that they have.
Drew Brees is a great quarterback, but when he's being coached by Sean Payton, who has the entire team under him, then they're a force to be reckoned with.
Let's put it this way. If you break your leg on the field without ever playing a set of downs, you're a tough coach.
Yeah, that is true.
I gotta give him credit. Ooh,
and
another fun fact.
Okay.
Kansas City and New Orleans have a chance of going 0-3 this week. It's a chance. It's always 50-50. The last time a team started 0-3 and went to the postseason was 1998. It was the Indianapolis Colts.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Led by
Peyton
Manning.
His rookie year.
Yep.
Well, either way, another one of the games that really just was incredible was the Washington-St. Louis game.
Oh my
That
goodness.
was in the ref's hands.
I mean, RG3, again, played another spectacular game, but then again, you know something? I'm going to refute that. Not necessarily. I don't have Sam Bradford in my top 20 quarterbacks, but I will say as far as him being a quarterback, here's a few things. One, he's never really actually played an entire season healthy. Two, he hasn't really played at full strength with his entire team. And as far as I'm concerned, he's got one of the better forms as far as quarterbacks go. His throwing form is fantastic. He just needs go-to guys. And I feel that now he's actually got his go-to guys. Because even though they're 1-1, they didn't play a terrible game against Detroit in week 1.
I guess not.
When you talk about form, I feel like it's just another word for intangibles. Whenever I hear the word intangibles in football, it doesn't really strike me with the same fervor.
Intangibles is so overrated ever since MC Hammer. Because you can't touch this.
So before we go to our next topic, of course, we're going to pause for station identification. Captain Shenanigans, what is our wonderful channel?
You can listen to us, faithful viewers, on the channel called Football Goulash.
So getting back to what we originally left off with, in last week's episode. Because believe me, we're not done. Just in case you faithful listeners had not heard last week's episode, I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. We had a little, I guess best terms can be describing them as...
kerfuffle.
Or
Spat.
friendly debate about the top 10 quarterbacks in the game. And...
Now.
Right now, yes.
And these two gentlemen put up a crazy frenzy when I basically told them that I feel that the best way to describe Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan, overrated. I find him quite fraudulent in the way that he plays. And they also didn't like the fact that I thought that Matt Stafford was a better quarterback. Before you two jump in, because I know that you're ready to, I went and surveyed 20 people. 20! What do you think of Matt Ryan? Is he in your top 10? And is he better than Matt Stafford? Guess how many people disagreed with me and said that Matt Ryan was better than Matt Stafford?
3.
6.
1.
Then you surveyed 19 wrong people.
Yeah.
You know something? I disagree with you entirely because I'm going to put this out here right now. Peyton Manning won the game for the Atlanta Falcons last Monday by throwing 3 perfect interceptions to Matt Ryan's Atlanta Falcons defense. And that is truly the way I feel that the Atlanta Falcons did win that game, because if you took a look at that score, it was relatively close. And I still feel that Peyton Manning is far from over. Even though he did throw those interceptions, he's still my number 1 quarterback in the game.
He's done.
He's not done. In fact,
He can't throw the deep ball. He can't even throw a straight ball. It was so wobbly. It was more wobbly than a Weeble.
But I like Weebles.
But he
I
didn't,
like Weebles too.
but he didn't fall down.
Yeah, Peyton Manning is still... In fact, he's in my top 5 quarterbacks right now. So
because of the fact that I revealed my top 10 quarterbacks, I want these two gentlemen to tell me who their top 10 quarterbacks are. So I'm hoping that you two gave a lot of thought, and I'm going to start with Captain Shenanigans. I want to know, more importantly, where you rank Matt Ryan, and I'd also like to know who the other quarterbacks in your top 10 are.
Okay, I give it a lot of thought, and as it turns out, I can't definitively say, oh, this quarterback is number 1, and this quarterback is number 2 and 3, etc. Instead, I have groups of 1 through 5, and then 6 through 10, and I even have 11 through 15, and 4 bonus
I'd like
quarterbacks.
to hear them.
Okay, in the 1 through 5 bracket, I have Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. You know, a pretty respectable top 5.
Absolutely, considering
You know?
some of those names that you mentioned were in my top 5.
Yeah, and you know, you'll find any combination of those 5 in anybody's. So, and in the 6 to 10 bracket, I have Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Jay Cutler, Joe Flacco, and Matt Ryan.
So Matt Ryan is
Matt
number 10.
Ryan is... No, he's not the number 10. He's just in that bracket.
Okay.
He's not elite, but he's great. And the 11 through 15, I have Matthew Stafford, Cam Newton, RG3, Andy Dalton, and Tony Romo. Guys who have potential, but they haven't done anything with it yet.
I am absolutely shocked because I thought I was the only one in this room that was actually going to put Dalton in the 15. I think that Andy Dalton has a lot of promise to become something
I like
great.
Dalton. He has a lot of potential, and you know what? He has a pretty decent team surrounding him this year. If they make the playoffs, much more better for him. You know?
Okay.
And then I have 4 bonus quarterbacks who some people would say they're good. I say they're just beneficiaries of a really, really good offense. And they include Alex Smith, Matt Castle, Andrew Luck, and Matt Schaub.
Mr. Beagle, I really want to know your thoughts because, you know something? In my top 15, I actually decided, last week I did say that Matt Ryan was my number 13 quarterback. That was actually a lie. I was just throwing it out for a little triskaidekaphobia kind of joke here.
Boosh.
I put Alex Smith at number 13, actually.
Ah.
And I put Andy Dalton at 15.
See, Alex Smith has had way too many years of mediocrity. And then he had 1 good season last year, and he's had 2 decent games this year. It still doesn't make me a believer in Alex Smith. In the rest of the offense, oh yeah.
I'd call his game this past week better than decent. He was pretty solid.
Like I said, too many years of mediocrity without being good enough.
But we're not talking about the past, we're talking about right now.
Which is true.
Right now, true.
And,
All right,
and right
fine.
now can probably consist of at least the last 3 seasons.
I consider right now to be the 2012 season.
Oh,
Okay.
Right meow?
Right now. So basically, the end of 2011 and the first 2 weeks of 2012 is my right now.
Okay. What are yours?
Now, I actually put a top 10. Now, mind you, these are not top. Now, when we're ranking these, we're not ranking these by fantasy value, which if you look up rankings is what you find
not.
most
That's
absolutely
No.
not.
These are my top 10. I'm going to go backwards because there's a couple of surprises in here that you guys may not know about. So, number 10, I have Tony Romo. Yes, he hasn't done anything spectacular, but he's been very good on a number of occasions.
He's been consistent in the regular season.
He has been consistent. Really, Dallas has been let down by their lack of a running game until recently, and their defense until recently.
I would also give a lot of credit to Romo just because of the fact that most of the time he plays with a very injury-stricken team.
Not only that, he takes a lot of heat from other players and from fans and from management, and he still goes out there and gives a good performance.
I'll never forget what he did in week 1 of last season when he got practically gut-checked and got like 2 broken ribs and still came out in week 2 with a Kevlar vest.
Yep.
That shows a lot of determination and guts.
Probably the same vest that Michael Vick's wearing.
We'll get back to him later.
Yeah.
So number 9 would be Joe Flacco.
Okay.
Because here's a guy, he's in his, 5th year?
5th year. Same as Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
He's gotten better every single year. And he has a lot of weapons this year, and I think this year he's going to throw for a lot of yards, 4,500 at least.
They're already pass happy if you look at the stats from the first 2 games as compared to last season.
And this is a team that has Ray Rice.
Absolutely. And this is why they're looking such a massive threat in the NFL right now.
Number 8 is Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Again, guy who's gotten better every single year, finally has more than one target to throw to. He's got Roddy White, he's got Jason Snelling, he's got Julio Jones, he's got Tony Gonzalez, and Jaquiz Rogers. He's got a lot of good weapons now, and Michael Turner's getting older, so they're getting more pass happy. Number 7 is Phillip Rivers. Here's a guy who every single year puts up great numbers. He's got a fantastic touchdown to interception ratio, and he's only my number 7.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, if his team stays consistently healthy, I think they're going to make a monster run this year. Absolutely.
They can do it.
And they're due. Rivers is due.
The AFC West is weak, so they have a really good chance.
Yeah, I think they're going to win the division.
Mind you, Phillip Rivers could have been a New York Giant.
Exactly.
Could have been a New York Giant, yeah.
We'll get back to that later.
Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, the Giants have won their 2 Super Bowls with Phillip Rivers.
No, it's funny that you say that. We're going to get back to that. It's that's later on in the show.
Number 6 is Peyton Manning.
Okay.
And I put him further down low than most people would because of his surgery. Because he's not the same. Everybody thinks he may come back to be the same quarterback he was. He's not. He can't throw deep to his right. He doesn't have the long ball anymore. And his intermediate throws are not exactly as crisp as they used to be. He's still a great decision maker. He's still a very good scrambler, but he just doesn't have the oomph anymore. Number 5 is Ben Roethlisberger. You want to talk about a guy who's going to be up there with Steve Young as one of the best scramblers of the game. He's better on the move than he is in the pocket. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's very accurate, and he can run. He's very, very dangerous with the ball.
He can run because he's big.
Exactly. People can't get him down.
He's built more like a tall tight end than a quarterback.
He was the first Tebow.
Donovan McNabb was the first Tebow.
Roethlisberger's bigger.
Me? If you want to talk about those kinds of guys, you've got to go all the way back to Steve McNair.
Oh man.
Well, McNair was the first, but he still didn't run as much as people wanted him to.
Continue.
Okay. Number 4 is Eli Manning. He is elite. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
Absolutely.
He wins big games. He comes through in the clutch, as proven this past week.
Absolutely.
With 25 points in 7 minutes.
Yeah. How can you not give him the elite status?
Look, he's number 5 on my list too.
Yeah.
And now the top 3. Number 3 is Drew Brees. Number 2 is Tom Brady. Number 1 is Aaron Rodgers. I don't think any of those need any explanation. The whole reason we have this argument is because of Matt Ryan, and he's in my top 10 at number 8. He's not the best quarterback in the league. He's not even one of the top 5.
And I want to just throw this question out there. If he's so great, then why is he never going as far as he should? Because you take a look at all those other names that you mentioned. Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger. Heck, I'll even throw Joe Flacco in there. Every single one of those guys has gotten further than him.
One word. Management.
No, not necessarily.
Yes, coaching and management.
And secondly, why is it, and I'm shocked, where on both of your lists is Michael Vick? Did we all forget?
He's not there.
No.
Why is he not a good quarterback anymore? I don't understand.
He never was.
Because he takes too many risks. Because he commands the football a little too much. It doesn't look like he trusts anybody on his team when he runs with the ball, when he takes these stupid head-first dives into tacklers. You know, he puts his body on the line, needlessly and recklessly. And it's not the markings of a good quarterback. A good quarterback manages the game. He doesn't win the game, he manages the game. And by managing the game, you win games. And he's not managing correctly.
I agree with you completely in that when you see Michael Vick play, it looks like he's a one-man team. He throws the ball, he runs the ball. But does he trust any of his teammates? It doesn't look like he does. Because he just holds onto the ball no matter what.
And why do you guys not consider Matt Stafford a great quarterback?
He's not there yet. He had a great season last season. His rookie year wasn't so good, but he had last season was fantastic.
Because he was healthy.
Right. Let's see what he does this season. If he replicates last season this season, he will go in my top 10.
So far, he's not doing a terrible job.
But he's not doing a great job.
He's not doing a great job. There's a difference between being on the lower half of the 20s and then the upper half.
Top 15? Yeah. I would say he's probably my number 15.
Let's at least give him a little bit of credit because they faced a quite unstoppable San Francisco team last week.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Now, here's the question that we're going to lead into here. And ladies and gentlemen, please comment, like, and subscribe. And Football Goulash is the name of the show. Take quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers or even Matt Ryan. We're going to go back to Matt Ryan again. He's going to be like your Ryan Leaf to me. Just because I reference him.
Okay.
What if, in some crazy world, all these guys were on different teams? Like you say that Matt Stafford is not so great. You think that Matt Ryan is great. What if Matt Ryan did not have all those tools that you mentioned and he was on a team like Cleveland? Or what if a guy like Phillip Rivers was on a team like the New York Giants? Would they be the exact same quarterbacks? Like, what truly makes a good quarterback to me is a quarterback that manages to have a handle on the game. That's why guys like Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning are the top of the quarterback scale now, because these are the guys that know how to take control of the game and win it. They don't necessarily need all those weapons. There are some, like Phillip Rivers or Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford, that just have these tools that allow them to look as good as they are. But are they truly as good as they are? That's the question that I'm trying to explain here.
Short answer is no.
Okay.
And the long answer is also no. And the reason is that a good quarterback will be good on any team. A great quarterback will be good on any team and make the offensive players around him better.
Okay.
That's what happened in Indy with Peyton Manning, with Marvin Harrison, and that's what happened in Green Bay with Brett Favre and Donald Driver.
Donald Driver, the old guy.
Now look at Matt Ryan, your example. Mm-hmm. Roddy White, not a particularly strong skill set at receiver, but he still gets over 1,000 yards because Matt Ryan makes him better, because he commands those routes, because those routes that he runs, Matt Ryan can hit. Julio Jones, if he sticks with Matt Ryan, is going to have a fantastic career. If he was on the Jets, he'd be gone.
Wow. Huh.
Because he would be too fast for Sanchez to find. He'd be too explosive for Sanchez to handle.
To close that out, I'm just going to say this to you guys. I appreciate your case. I'm glad that we managed to put this all into the front. So I will put Matt Ryan into my top 10 if he actually manages to get to the NFC Championship this year. And I'll even do one better. And this is a promise. I will put him in my top 3 if he gets to the Super Bowl and wins.
Wow.
I like to see just how good he truly is.
Wouldn't go that far, but I will accept that.
As far as I'm concerned, I just feel the only reason why he's looking good is because he's got the tools that make him look good. I truly feel that if he was on any other team, he wouldn't be that good.
I have one thing to add. We're talking about in topsy-turvy world where good quarterbacks are on bad teams. I think let's just pull a rabbit out of the hat here and say Aaron Rodgers. Let's say he was on Cleveland, they would still suck.
He wouldn't.
There are just teams out there that suck.
You also have to understand that Rodgers, was mentored by Favre.
True.
Yes.
Okay. Matt Ryan wasn't really mentored under anyone strong. Neither was Flacco, and yet they're still emerging.
Yeah, that's true.
On that note, we're going to tally up our scores based on last week's picks. Right now, there is a tie for first place between you two. So no one gets the belt this week.
Damn.
I should get the belt just for that Arizona call.
So that's where we are. You two are now 14 and 18, and I am just one game behind you at 13 and 19.
I promise I'm going to get over 500 this week.
Okay, let's
All right.
basically. Okay, so then we're
bold
going to
prediction.
start up the week 3 picks. We're going to start with the Thursday night game. I sure as heck am hoping that this game is going to be a lot more exciting than the way the last one was, and that was the Green Bay-Chicago game, which ended completely in a weird way that I did not expect.
Yeah, that was weird.
Nobody
The
saw that
New
coming.
York Giants against the Carolina Panthers. Before I even throw out my thoughts, you guys answer, please.
This was my runner-up for toilet bowl of the week, quite honestly.
Really?
Runner-up. Ooh, boy.
Now, both teams have showed greatness, but also both teams have showed weakness. The leading rusher on the Carolina Panthers is Cam Newton. When your running game is not going anywhere, and you're going up against the Giants' pass rush, even though the pass rush wasn't really there last week, but they still won.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think that it's going to be a very offensive game, but the Giants are going to score more points. I'm going with the Giants.
You know what? This time even though it's my hometown team, I got to pick Carolina because the Giants' O-line is very, very depleted this week. And you know what? After seeing them these 2 weeks, they're the Giants. I mean, they're going to have their ups and downs, and Carolina.
You know what? This was one of those games in which I was considering doing a coin flip. I won't deny that, but you know what? To compare the two teams, I do believe that the Giants are the better team. The only thing is, I feel that Cam Newton has the ability to truly exploit the Giants secondary for what it is, because we mentioned that there's a lot of room for improvement there. It's going to be a very high-scoring game, but I am going to go out on a limb here and go with you, Captain. I'm going to actually pick the Panthers in this game.
I think it's going to be a close game anyway. So
I'm so looking forward to this weekend. For the first time, I got DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket Max.
Okay, here's another one that may in fact be another
Oh, boy.
coin toss. We're going to go with the St. Louis Rams against the Chicago Bears. Captain?
I got to pick Chicago this week because St. Louis looks bad all the time, while Chicago has looked bad only half the time.
I think he's right, actually. In the first half of that game last week, St. Louis looked like they were, they were playing themselves almost. And plus, it's the Bears at home on that terrible
on
turf.
Soldier Field, the Bears are.
It'll be like a 13-10 game or something.
The Bears are ticked after last Thursday night's performance, and there is no way that they're going to let a team like St. Louis run all over them like Green Bay. I'm going with the Bears on this one.
I'm going to stick out a provision here, though. Check out the injury report for Matt Forte and see what he's listed as.
That's true.
That's a huge
important.
factor. But Chicago does have Michael Bush, and he proved that
was
he
a
can
good
carry a
pickup.
huge workload.
In fact, that was a great
Problem
pickup.
is, he doesn't have the explosiveness to move the ball down the field. He can get into the end zone, but he can't move the ball down the
It's
field.
like an Emmitt Smith almost.
Well, the only way that the Bears are going to win this game is that they actually have an O-line that protects Cutler, because that was their major problem in the game last Thursday.
It's going to be their major
That's gonna
problem for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
if
They
don't
have
get
to
better.
work on that.
that O-line, Cutler is getting hit too many times.
Jamarcus Webb. Oh, boy.
Oh boy, don't get me started on that.
Okay, we're
Good,
going to go to Buffalo versus Cleveland, and I'm going to take the pick here at the beginning. Believe it or not, I am actually going to go with Cleveland on this one for a couple of reasons. In their last 2 games, they may have lost, but they didn't lose by much. And I feel that Whedon still has a lot to prove, because I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't know what the game that Buffalo played last week truly meant. I don't know if they're really going to be the same team, but it's the dog pound. They're just playing better teams right now, the Browns, but this team is not that much better. So I'm going to go with the Browns on this one for the win.
This one's another very coin flippy game, because Cleveland they're 0-2, but they haven't looked great, but they haven't looked bad. Buffalo, they're 1-1, and they've just been all over the place. I can't decide. Will the real Buffalo Bills please stand up? I gotta have to give it to Buffalo because their offense is a little bit better than Cleveland's. Ugh.
I'm going to go with you, Mr. Gnome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
I'm
all
going
right.
with Cleveland. I think that They've got Trent Richardson showed flashes of greatness. So did Whedon. The Bills, C.J. Spiller is showing he's a really good running back. Probably get a big deal next year from either Buffalo or a different team that might want to use him as a number one. I just don't think he can keep it up the entire season, and I think next week he's going to run into a very stingy front seven. Cleveland, I'm picking Cleveland to win.
The next game that we're going to look at is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Dallas Cowboys. Again, I don't know what in God's name happened to Dallas. Then again, I should. The Seahawks ruined my day. But even though Tampa Bay lost yesterday, they still looked pretty good defensively. And I feel that defense is going to play a major factor in this game against Dallas. Even though Romo is not a bad quarterback at all, and he's got a lot of go-to guys. Offense fills the seats and defense wins the games. Correct, Captain?
Correct.
Defense is going to win this game. I'm giving it to Tampa Bay.
That's a bold move right there. I'm picking Dallas because they're at home and because they are the superior team. I'm not a believer in Tampa Bay. I'm sorry. Just because you have a seemingly scary defense, not a believer. Sorry.
Captain, I'm going with you. I'm picking Dallas to win at home. I think it'll be one-sided, quite honestly. I think Dallas is going to thwomp them 34-7.
Yeah.
You guys said the same thing about Tampa Bay against New York, but we'll get to that game a little bit later. I don't know. I just see something in them. That's all. But I could be wrong. Moving on to the next game.
I see a loss.
The Detroit Lions against the Tennessee Titans. I am giving it to Detroit. I have no other reason to think otherwise.
This one is Detroit's game to win. They have the superior offense. Their defense has been stifling the past two games. Tennessee doesn't have the oomph necessary to win it.
This is my toilet bowl of the week.
Yeah,
yeah, I think
I mean, Detroit's going to win. The only way Detroit will lose this game is if a hurricane hits Tennessee and the visitors' locker room collapses.
Hey, that's a possibility.
So we're going to pause the matchups and we're going to go to our first segment of the night. We're going to go with Get on the Boat and Get off the Goat with our good friend, the notorious Mr. Beagle. Take it away, my good sir.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever time you're listening to this. In this week's edition of Get on the Boat, Get off the Goat, we focus on the highs and lows of the NFL in Week 2. The vote for this week is the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, is there any doubt?
No.
One of the most storied franchises in football has come back and come back strong. Under Coach Harbaugh, they are 16-4, including playoffs, and it doesn't look like they're going to slow down anytime soon. I'll admit that I wasn't too high on them for the 2012 season. I really thought they wouldn't live up to the hype of last season, and with the NFC West improved, with Seattle getting better and Arizona getting better, I thought there was no way to get to 13 wins again. I may have been wrong. It's still too early to tell, especially since they haven't played any divisional games yet, but they've manhandled two of the top offensive teams in the NFL in Green Bay and Detroit and kept them to an average of 20.5 points per game. Want to hear something sick? The entire remainder of their schedule has them facing teams that had a combined record last season of 83 and 93. While Minnesota, Buffalo, Seattle, and Arizona have all gotten a little better, in my opinion, the Jets, Giants, Patriots, and Saints have gotten worse. I think it's a straight shot for the 49ers to clinch a playoff spot by Week 14, probably the division the following week. Now, if only one of the Harbaughs can win a conference championship.
I personally I am hoping for a Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. I really am.
That'll be interesting.
That would be
Love
very
it.
interesting.
That would be one of the highest rated Super Bowls in history.
It should have been last year.
I seriously think the Giants are better.
My opinion.
Your opinion is wrong.
The GOAT for this week is actually a tie between Jay Cutler and Roger Goodell.
Oh.
Cutler because of his yelling at and then bumping offensive tackle Jamarcus Webb. When you throw the way you did in Green Bay, you don't pick on a guy who's 6'7" and weighs 1/6 of a ton. Especially since he wasn't the sole reason for you being sacked 7 times. All throughout the preseason, we were all told how Mike Martz was out and how Chicago's O-line was much improved. They look more dilapidated than last season. Too many sacks, too many hits, too many pressures from the corners. Lovey, do something. And Mr. Goodell. In Week 1, the replacement refs did an adequate job. In Week 2, not so much. Too many calls were blown due to inexperience by the replacement officials. One got banned because he's a Saints fan. Another is now under investigation because he told LaShawn McCoy, quote, "You better get in there, I need you for my fantasy team," unquote.
Oh, boy.
NFL rules forbid referees from playing fantasy football in any capacity. If you have no choice, then fine. Use replacement officials. But screen and police them much more thoroughly, please. One more thing. Rex, if you have Tebow, use him. Stat of the week.
Ooh.
Clay Matthews has 6 sacks through 2 games. He had 6 sacks throughout all of 2011.
Oh, he's a beast.
Given Green Bay's schedule, which is not that hard, let's see what happens. Could he come close to Strahan's 22 and a half?
I think he can.
Ware came close last season with 22.
Yeah, I think he can. If he keeps this up.
I'd love to see that.
If he keeps it up.
Stat of the week, number 2. As Captain Shenanigans said earlier, an unprecedented 20 teams are now 1-1, including the entire AFC East.
Yep.
I've been following the NFL closely since 1991. That's going on 21 years. I can't remember the last time so many teams start out 1-1. I mean, either the NFL has become really balanced, or some teams got so fed up with the lockout last season that they just want to take a vacation half the weeks. I'm the notorious Mr. Beagle, and this has been Get on the Boat, Get off the Goat.
Thank you very much. Comment, like, and subscribe, everybody. I think the more hysterical thing about this is forget all the teams that are 500. Look at all the teams that are actually undefeated. You got San Francisco, you've got Philadelphia, you've got Houston, you've got San Diego. I mean,
Neither of these were surprises. Philly's a little bit of a surprise, but they've won both games by a combined 2 points.
Yeah,
still
it's
cannot-
been really, really ugly.
and that
those
game
two.
that they actually did win last week is still a little bit of a shocker to me.
It's not a shocker, the refs messed it up.
Moving on to the games, we're going to go back and look at the New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. Gentlemen, I'd rather you start with it because I want your thoughts first.
The New York Jets have a fantastic history against Miami. It's their game to lose, but they won't. Jets win.
I'm going to agree with that. The Jets are going to look for revenge against anyone who steps in their path. Miami, you're the poor bastards that are going to roll over this week. Jets.
As far as I'm concerned, the only way that Miami is going to win is if Matt Moore is your starting quarterback.
Tannehill wasn't that bad.
I see, that's the thing. I don't think that... I don't know what to think about Tannehill. One day he's good, the next day he's terrible.
Sperano back in Miami.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a little bit of bad blood there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm giving that one to the Jets. Going on to the next game. Oh, this is my toilet bowl of the week, guys. Jacksonville versus Indianapolis. You know what? I'm just going to say this right now. I don't think Jacksonville has a shot. I'm giving it to the Colts once again.
I'm going to agree with that. Indy looked really good last week. Jacksonville did not. Blaine Gabbert looked like Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert is injured now.
Well, by all means, I'm still giving it to Indianapolis.
I don't think this is going to be a toilet bowl. I actually think this is going to be a pretty hard-hitting game. Indy hasn't shown me anything special yet. And like the captain said, any given Sunday. Still giving it to Indy, though.
Yeah, all right.
I just want to know if
the
Oops
trifecta.
McClown is going to actually be quarterbacking for Jacksonville.
If this game
an
was
Indy.
in Jacksonville, I might give it to the Jaguars.
Interesting premise.
The next game is going to be the San Francisco 49ers against the Minnesota Vikings. 49ers, duh.
Yeah, this one shouldn't be hard to pick at all. This is San Francisco's game to win.
I wouldn't call this a duh. Quite honestly, I think Minnesota will put up one hell of a fight. If they keep giving the ball to Adrian Peterson and Percy Harvin, they can do a lot of things. And, of course, you got Jared Allen gunning for Alex Smith. The 49ers don't have the best O-line in the league. In fact, it's pretty mediocre. You might see some interesting things happen, but I still think the 49ers win.
The next game is the Kansas City Chiefs against the New Orleans Saints. Captain Shenanigans, you want to take this one?
Oh boy. Kansas City and New Orleans. Casey and Eno. Both of them are 0-2, and both of them have looked particularly terrible. New Orleans is going to win this game because I think the Chiefs are just that bad. They look terrible, and they play terrible.
Can the Chiefs' problems be fixed? Yes. Will they be fixed by Sunday? No. New Orleans wins.
I get it. I know.
Yeah, ironically, that's the key word of the day with the KC and NO game. I'm actually going to say no as well and give it to the Saints because I just don't see Kansas City taking this game. I feel that, again, it's Drew Brees. His offense is still intact. His defense will come back, but they are gunning for a win, and you don't want to lose 2 games in the Superdome. The next game is the Cincinnati Bengals versus RG3's Washington Redskins. Now, let's remember the fact that there are 2 key defensemen that were knocked out of Washington. Now, is defense going to win this game? I don't really think so. These 2 teams have 2 great offenses with 2 potentially great quarterbacks. And if I were to... You know what? Captain, I'm going to flip a coin.
Yep, coin flip.
Heads the Bengals, tails the Redskins. Redskins.
Redskins.
I will never flip a coin. I base all my picks on ingenuity, on statistics, on history, and Madden 13.
Says the man to the other man in the room that actually won a game yesterday with a coin toss.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you in Washington. I don't think Cincinnati has enough offense to counter Washington's explosion on offense. I think RG3 is making his receivers better. Washington will win it.
Yeah, this is going to be the trifecta. I'm picking Washington. I'm going to jump on the RG3 bandwagon, and he made me believe we're Washington. I think he has a high-powered offense, and Cincinnati's defense is not going to be able to contain it.
Look, even with his loss last week, he still had a fantastic game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we're going to take a break from the picks once again, and we're going to go to our second segment, headed up by Captain Shenanigans, Week 2's Lessons Learned.
Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, faithful viewers, this is Captain Shenanigans with your Lessons Learned. Lesson number 1. There's no crying in football. For God's sake, guys, stop whining. It's not the ref's fault. If you played a bad game, it's most likely your fault. Yes, the refs have blown a couple of calls here and there, but not any more so than usual, than the regular refs. If you're going to whine and cry, then sit down on the bench. Please, nobody wants to hear it. Lesson number 2. Don't blame the refs. Blame Roger Goodell. Because he just does not give a flying rat's ass anymore. He clearly doesn't. If he gave a rat's ass, then we would have had the normal refs back by now. We don't, and there's some sort of timetable. Goodell, you're messing up. Big time. Lesson number 3. Just because you have a 13.5 point spread doesn't mean you can take it easy. I'm looking at you, New England. There's a lot of teams this week that were supposed to win and win big, but they didn't. And it was very topsy-turvy, and it threw everyone into a big pile of confusion. Which leads to lesson number 4. On any given Sunday. Folks, this is a reinforcement of that phrase. Any team has a chance of winning, and everybody proved it, especially the Arizona Cardinals. I give major props to you guys. And to Kevin Cole, who actually looked like a decent quarterback that game. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, for our bonus lesson learned, damn it, Seahawks, you're just here to ruin my day, aren't you? And, faithful viewers, those are your lessons learned. Take them and use them well, please.
Thank you very much, sir. We're going to move on to the picks. I'm really hoping that we start ringing this bell. Our next game is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Arizona Cardinals. Who is that?
That is me. This is a game where is going to be a little bit of everything. You name it. There's going to be personal fouls. There's going to be flying, diving catches out of bounds and in the end zone. There's going to be interceptions. It's Michael Vick. Come on. And there's, Arizona has a good, solid defense, possibly just as good as Baltimore's. And look what happened in that game with Philadelphia.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the offense is revitalized. And, you put the explosive offense of LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson, Brent Selleck, and you put them up against the Arizona defense, and things are going to go flying. Now, Philadelphia has won his first 2 games by 1 point and by 1 point. I think their luck is going to run out. I'm picking Arizona to go 3-0.
Goodness me.
Believe it or
Insane.
not, I am actually going to agree with everything that you just said. Because The Eagles feel that Kevin Kolb was not necessarily needed on that Philadelphia team. This week, he's going to prove that he was important and that he was vital to that team's offense. He's showing a lot now that he's basically filling in for the shoes of John Skelton. And I believe that he is really going to step it up even more. He's going to utilize his offense. The defense is going to be on point. Their special teams with Peterson are going to be fantastic. I see the Cardinals going 3-0.
Actually, this was a runner-up for my toilet bowl of the week. Seriously, Philly has won both of those games by a mere point and has looked absolutely dreadful doing it. Fun fact, the Cardinals haven't started a season 3-0 since 1974 when they were still in St. Louis.
Wow.
And the Eagles have started off by winning 2 games to start a season by 1 point, which has never been done in the NFL before. No other team has won the first 2 games by 1 point.
But in your thoughts, who gets the W?
I don't know. Folks, you have my coin flip of the week. All right. Heads, it's Eagles. Tails, it's Cardinals. Cardinals are going to win it.
Holy trifecta! Moving on to the next game, we've got... this is going to be a good one, guys. The Atlanta Falcons versus the San Diego Chargers. The topic of conversation earlier, I want this gentleman right in front of me, Mr. Beagle, start it up.
Atlanta. Plain and simple. San Diego's a good team. Atlanta's a better team. Atlanta has tougher competition.
Yep.
2 2-0 teams going at it. Well, Atlanta's going to be 3-0. San Diego's going to be 2-1. San Diego has plenty of offensive weapons, but they have pretty Swiss cheese defense. And Atlanta has good on both ends. Atlanta wins.
You know what? I'll agree with absolutely nothing you just said.
Oh, my line against me.
Booyah! Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, another fun fact. San Diego has never started off a season 3-0 under Norv Turner. This is their year. They're going 3-0. Chargers are going to win this one.
I am agreeing with you, Captain Shenanigans, and here is why. Not that I don't think it's going to be a bad game. I just feel that this team is on a mission. I said it in the preseason. I said that North Turner is in the hot seat. Rivers is in the hot seat. These guys are going to be a major threat throughout the entire season. They're going to make a great playoff run. I just see Rivers having the game of his life. This is going to be a big test for both Rivers and for Ryan. But I seriously feel that Rivers is going to come out the victor. I'm giving it to the Chargers. I haven't doubted them at all this entire season. Our next game is the Houston Texans against the Denver Broncos. Who might that be?
Oh, that's me.
And I'm very curious as to why you think so.
You know what? Houston has been, I want to say, exceptional. They made me believers this year. I've been saying for years that, I would eat my shoe if somebody picked the Houston Texans to win every year.
The correct words that you said, sir, and because of the fact that I have this great memory, if I had a nickel for every person who said that Houston would go far, I wouldn't have to have a job.
That is very, very correct. However, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet. Hear me out. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet. And they're playing a very good and revitalized Denver Broncos. Despite the 3 interceptions that Peyton Manning had last week, I still think he's going to have a good game. The Houston Texans win this, though, by a very close margin. Watch it, folks.
Mr. Gnome, what did you say to me last week about Champ Bailey?
That he was back on Denver?
Yeah. How many penalty yards were given up because of him? 45?
Yikes.
That's a lot, yo.
I didn't even
The
see
win
that.
will go to the planet Houston.
Houston does not have a problem.
I am going to say this right now. Houston has already shown how good they are against subpar teams. This time around, they're going to show just how relevant they truly are this season. Mm-hmm. It's the trifecta, gentlemen. I'm giving this one to the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And the next game is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Oakland Raiders. I am basically going to say this, guys. Oakland has the problem. They are not looking good at all. They had a lot of potential. They looked great on paper. But as far as I'm concerned, it's all just a matter of time before McFadden gets too overused, gets injured. Because if you noticed, he was barely used in the last game. And look at where that got them. They can't win with him. They can't win without him. As far as I'm concerned, Oakland's in trouble, and Pittsburgh wins.
This one's my toilet bowl of the week. There's going to be a lot of uninspiring football. There's going to be a lot of penalties. And there's not going to be a whole lot of yardage being gained from either team. Pittsburgh's still going to win it, though, because Oakland can't move the ball, and Pittsburgh defense, even though injury-riddled, is still good enough.
I'm going to agree that Pittsburgh's going to win, but for completely different reasons. I think the Pittsburgh offense is where it's at right now. It's going to completely overpower the Oakland defense. They got the three of the fastest receivers in the NFL, and just going to run all over, just going to throw all over. Roethlisberger's going to have 50 pass attempts this game. They're barely going to use Redmond because, let's put it this way, Redmond really isn't usable.
He's overrated.
Overrated. He's barely rated at all.
Exactly.
You can't be overrated if you're not rated.
Yeah, just talk to someone in Pittsburgh.
And on that note, we're going to go to my segment, the Hero and Bust of the Week. Gentlemen, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Hero. The word hero is tossed around a lot these days. It's very hard to define what makes a true hero. Fundamentals of the definition will never change. To step up and show your enemy that you are not afraid and that you still have some fight left in you is what truly defines a hero. In week 2, he went by the name of C.J. Spiller. The Buffalo Bills were left battered, bruised, and left for dead by a dominating New York Jets offense and defense. After suffering the losses of Fred Jackson and David Nelson, the only people who knew that there was still a glimmer of hope left were the Bills themselves. Spiller had 2 crucial running touchdowns and a total of 123 rushing yards and 47 receiving yards. And more importantly, the W. There is still some questions that remain. Is this team going to continue to produce like they did in week 3? Is the current Chiefs team just plain terrible? For now, the Bills will savor a much-deserved victory after everyone counted them out. Bust. One can comically place all the teams that ended week 1 with a strong victory here as a collective bust. Still, the bust of this week is not given to one man. The bust can be summed up in one number. 510. That is the number of yards that Eli Manning had to his name after a crazy comeback victory against what looked like an unstoppable Buccaneers defense. Going into the half, the score of this football game was 24-13 in favor of the Bucs. By the end of the third, it was 27-16 in favor of the Bucs. With 7 minutes left going into the fourth quarter, one would give this to Tampa Bay, right? Wrong! As a defense that looked this stacked in week 1, pretty much in the entire game against the Giants, how could you allow Eli Manning to score 25 points on you? 25 points! You want to show that you're a force to be reckoned with? You don't want to be a laughingstock in football? It's very simple. Play a proper defense for 60 minutes of football. If you can do that, hopefully you'll come out of week 4 and you'll be 2-1.
If they don't want to be a laughingstock in the NFL, get the hell out of Tampa.
And that's my hero and bust for week 2. And we're going to continue with the last 2 games of the week. We're going to go with the Sunday night game, New England Patriots versus Baltimore Ravens. To my dear listeners and collective viewers of the National Football League, if you plan on watching at least just one game this weekend, this should be your game. I don't care if you love the Patriots or the Ravens, or if you hate the Patriots or the Ravens, or either or both. Gentlemen out there, if you suddenly realize that you have something better to do than watch this game, consider your man card revoked. Ladies, if you actually feel that your husband or boyfriend should not be watching this game because you have something better planned, your boyfriend will consider you dumped. And wives out there, you're sleeping on the couch. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what football should be about. These are 2 teams that both lost a game last week. These are 2 teams that are gunning for it based on last year's chemistry in the playoffs. The field will be riddled with blood. But who gets the victory? While both of these teams are showing a great offensive push this year, offense sells the seats, defense wins the game. The epitome of defense is summed up in one name, Ray Lewis. This gentleman is going to tear any head off of any Patriot that comes his way. With a collective defense and Joe Flacco looking better than Joe Flat Cannon usually did. As far as I'm concerned, this is a game that Baltimore is going to win, and this is going to be a game that everybody who is a fan of the wonderful game that we know as football should be watching.
Oh boy.
That was a speech.
That was a speech.
That's why I picked it.
Unfortunately, I'm going to agree with you there. I also think the Ravens will win. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as a Greek tragedy as you think it's going to be.
Oh, in Ray Lewis's eyes it is.
I laughed.
Ray Lewis
I
is
cried.
the same age as Ben Roethlisberger, isn't he?
I don't know.
Oh, he's older.
No, he's older.
Oh, yeah. And what
older.
has Ben Roethlisberger done? Oh, he's lost a step, and so has Ray Lewis. I still think the Ravens' overall defense will be an equal match for the Patriots' offense. By the way, the Patriots lost Aaron Hernandez.
That is true.
Yep.
They've gotten desperate. They've signed Kellen Winslow,
Oh, that's
Junior.
where it went.
and they brought back Deion Branch.
Which they never should have gotten rid of him
in a
anyway.
ditch somewhere?
No, not with John Wallace, that's for
I thought he
sure.
was lost in a ditch with John Wallace.
No, John
No.
Wallace and John Hall. So it's going to be Baltimore winning. It's not going to be as pounding as you think it's going to be. It's going to be, I think, your average football game. I think the Ravens win about, let's say, 28-21.
New England has just looked absolutely terrible last week, and I think a lot of their flaws have been exposed. And a fun fact. The last time the Pats have lost a home opener was on September 23rd, 2001. The starting quarterback was Drew Bledsoe for New England, and the starting quarterback for the New York Jets was Vinny Testaverde. The Jets won 10-3. The infamous game where Mo Lewis sacks Drew Bledsoe so hard his shoes flew off. Thanks, Mo Lewis, you jerk. I'm picking Baltimore because they are the better team.
And we're going to go to the final game of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wonderful Monday night game. It's the game that everybody's going to want to watch. The Green Bay Packers against the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle is there to ruin everybody's day, but Green Bay is just too strong. It's going to be a fight, but Green Bay will win in Seattle.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree. Seattle is there. They're not there to win games. They're not there to punish the opponent. They're there to ruin your day. Unfortunately, Green Bay is going to have the game of their season right here. They're going to steamroll all over Seattle, and Green Bay's going to win.
As far as I'm concerned, I really don't want to pick a victor in this game.
Uh-oh.
Because if I pick Seattle, Green Bay will win. If I pick Green Bay, Seattle's going to win.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's one of those weird...
But, look, I'm just going to do the right thing as a true football fan, and I'm going to pick the Packers, but just watch Seattle ruin my day. I don't mind if they ruin another day, but Monday is lousy enough. Green Bay, Aaron, please win.
This is a very lousy game to put on a Monday night. You're right.
Well, guys, guess what? That wraps up our Week 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So, on behalf of the notorious Mr. Beagle and Captain Shenanigans, I am the Lawn Gnome with a question. And that question is, what do you think is going to happen in the New England-Baltimore game? I am the Lawn Gnome saying that actions speak louder than words.
Does it have salami? Sorry, it's a hero.